Gentlemen, good to see you. That light is really, really bright, so I'm going to come off the stage. I noticed everybody's set as far away as possible. That's cool. I understand. Brett doesn't shower enough. If I haven't met you yet, my name's Lee. I am one of the pastors here at Church on the Move, and my passion is overseeing our brotherhood ministry. And actually, I hate calling it a ministry. It's more of a movement or a fraternity or a group of men that we want to invite other men into. That's what it is. And so I have had a deep desire to see us launch Primal Path for a long time. But I've been busy with other stuff, honestly, and I just couldn't get it off the ground. I couldn't devote the time that I needed to it. And so I'm so thankful for Brett Wilson, and I know there are others that have helped Brett. I know Mark's been involved, and Gary's been involved, John Mitchell's been involved, others that I'm sure I'm forgetting. But finally, Brett and I had a conversation, I don't know how long ago it was, and I was just like, Brett, if this thing's ever really going to get off the ground, I think you're going to have to do it. And he was like, I'm in. And so I really appreciate you, brother. Because we wouldn't have gotten to this meeting if you wouldn't have taken the reins and run with it, and I appreciate that. I got introduced to a stat about a year and a half ago that has really radically changed my life. A stat, okay? And this was the stat. Aaron Davis sent this to me. He's one of our support team pastors, and it was a big study that Gallup and another, like the Institute for Fatherhood or whatever, did this big national survey study, and it had all kinds of results in it. And a lot of the results were kind of what we've heard about the state of fatherhood in the United States. You know, it's just like about the fact that you're X amount more likely to end up incarcerated, or you're X amount more likely to drop out of high school, or you're X amount more likely to live in poverty if you grow up without a dad. And most of us have heard that. It's like, man, it's tragic. It's something that happens a lot in our country. But there was this one particular thing, and several of you that know me in this room have heard me say this probably more than once, but there was this one particular thing that absolutely was like a lightning bolt in my life. And this was the stat. It was that if a person in a nuclear family, mom, dad, kids, if one of the individuals in a nuclear family comes to Christ, what is the likelihood that others in the nuclear family will also come to Christ? And they did this big study, and they found that if a wife or mom comes to Christ, there's like a 27% chance that a husband or kids will also come to Christ because of her coming to Christ. And then they said the likelihood if a child comes to Christ, the likelihood that a mom or a dad or another sibling will follow them to Christ, it goes up to like, I don't know, it was like 31 or 32% likelihood that because of that person's conversion to Jesus, others in the family will come to Jesus. And it said, when it comes to a dad, if a father comes to Christ, there's a 93% chance that the others in the family will also come to Christ. And that stat rocked me, because here's what I thought when I read that. I went, there is not one evangelistic program that we could come up with at Church on the Move that would have that kind of result. We could come up with the most incredible, like bring the city and we'll have fireworks and lights and everything, and we'll do everything we can, tent meetings and all this stuff. None of it would even come close to having that kind of success rate of evangelism, like seeing dads come to Christ, because 93% of the family is following them there. Now, there's something intuitive to us about that, but to see it just juxtaposed to those other relationships in the family, that just rocked me. My son Ethan was home from college this past week for Thanksgiving, and my other son Isaac, who's over there, we were watching. I don't know if you guys have seen the documentary. I don't know if it was on Amazon or Netflix, but it was about Barry Sanders, and they did a little documentary on it, and we were all kind of amazed. Here's this guy, maybe the best running back to ever live, and so much of what he talked about was the impact that his father had on him, negative and positive. Like his dad like played high school football, And his dad was kind of a narcissist. And like, so he would often say, Barry Sanders is the third greatest running back of all time. The greatest running back, who was it? I can't remember who he said the great, maybe some of you have seen it. Jim Brown, that's right, Jim Brown. Jim Brown was the greatest running back, and he said, I am the second greatest running back, and my son, Barry Sanders, is the third. Okay, buddy. Sure, don't be a dad like that. But like that impacted him. He had all the records, all the accolades, and still he was trying to impress his dad. And the three of us were talking, and Ethan said something like, Dad, that's the way every story is about a man. The impact of his dad's life on him. And he's right. We've had a lot of conversations about that. You know that's true in your life. And so I think even though there's 25 of us in this room, there may be nothing more important than the conversation that we're having tonight. Intentionally leading our sons into a life-giving relationship with Jesus. Primal Path is very in-depth. And you might see it and get overwhelmed. I know Carrie's been doing it for a while. You might see it and get overwhelmed, like daily stuff and weekly stuff and trips and everything. And I talked to John Tyson myself. I was at his church for a roundtable about this very thing about a year ago. Went to New York, met with him, Brian and I did, and built a relationship with him. I've talked to him a couple times since then, and he always says, don't get overwhelmed by it. Just implement the stuff better to do something than to do nothing. And so I want you to feel that going into this. And I know Brett has that posture too. Like, you may see the Primal Path stuff and go, whoa, this is really going to take a lot of my time. Listen, start small, but do something. And I know a lot of you already are doing something, but this could be something we do together. And I think it could be something that we invite other men into to do with us so that we can be good at it, be better at it. If Church on the Move was a place known, if Mountain Men was a place known, if Lincoln was a place known where, fathers have a great relationship with their sons, those places raise up really good men because of dads and surrogate dads in their lives. I could die happy. I could. That's what I would love us to be known for. It really is. And so I'm glad that you're here. You are pioneers of this program. I hope that in 5 years, there's 500 men that are leading their sons intentionally through a Primal Path program. But I just wanted to be here to say this matters. And I commend you for taking this step and go all in with each other. Go all in together in order to make a difference in the life of your son, because your relationship with your son or sons matters. It matters more than you realize. Even if you think it matters a lot, it matters more than what you realize, okay? Okay, I'm going to have to jump on another call here in about 10 minutes, so I'm going to have to leave early. I won't be able to chat after this, but love you guys. Thank that you're here, and thank you, Brett. Appreciate you letting me share that.
Thanks, Lee. Appreciate you very much, always. How about Church on the Move leading this type of a program, being out in front like we generally are? I say we, Lee, right? Leading the charge and bringing this together and giving us the opportunity to do this as a group. So my name is Brett Wilson. Kind of raised my hand for this, and we went through a portion of this program, and we'll share the details of that with you. Some of the men are in this room are going to talk about that. But I have a question to start. How many of you in this room were raised and your father was the spiritual leader of your home? Okay. 4 or 5 men out of about 25. Okay. That when we first met in our group, there was 1 out of our group of 6. I didn't have that growing up. I didn't have a spiritual father as I was being raised. My mother was the rock in our family. How many of you had a journey that you went through or walked through from boyhood into manhood? Did anybody have an intentional journey that you personally went on? Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's what this is about, guys. This is an intentional journey to take our boys from boyhood into manhood. We'll talk about those details. But gosh, guys, there's a lot that's riding on this. I'll just read through some of this. As a father, did you ever feel like that you might lose your son to the teenage world pressure? A lot of that today, wouldn't you agree? little bit of pressure going on. You want to disciple him, but we not necessarily know how to do that, right? You wish there was a community of men running alongside you in the same season, but you didn't really know kind of where to find them. That's what this is about. You wish your son can grow up to be a man among boys in his early adulthood. You desire a program from A to Z, right, for your son. You only have to show up to implement this. The work's been done. It has in this whole program, and we're going to lay out the details for you. So here's a little video from John Tyson. So he did develop this program. He has intentional father audio tape. So when we were thinking about doing a father-son trip, that was this last year starting in about February. So the season of Mountain Men goes from February through August, okay? How many of you have been a part of Mountain Men in the room? Okay, so this is my 8th year, I believe, as part of Mountain Men. So last year, last season, right? So this year, last season, we decided to do a father-son trip. There's been father-son trips with Mountain Men before. We said, hey, let's go do a father-son trip. What's the curriculum look like? What are we going to study? I'm asking around, reading books, wild at heart. I was like, it might be a little bit early. You know, my son's in 7th grade, not even 13 yet. Like, what are we going to do? God, what do you have for us? What is it? Didn't get it. Our meeting's coming up in Sunday we're going to meet. It's Saturday night. I don't have anything. I don't have to go to the group of 6 men and say, guys, like this is what we're going to walk through. This is going to be what we're going to have for the season. I go to church. I see Chris Turner. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Good, Brett. How are you? Like normal? He's like, hey, have you heard of John Tyson? Never heard of him. Wow, we've gotten connected with John Tyson as a church. You should check him out. Immediately when he said John Tyson, I knew. I didn't even know who John Tyson was, never heard of him before. Get his audio book, riding my bike trainer the next morning before church, right? Put that thing on 1.5 speed, hit the whole thing, that next morning. Like, this is it. This is what we're supposed to be doing. That's how my journey started with this and with 5 other men in the room. So let's take a moment and hear from John Tyson.
Hey dads, one of the greatest challenges many of us feel is what happens when our kids hit the teenage years. Porn, social media, violence, apathy, being overwhelmed, anxiety, all of these things are pushing down on our sons. There's nothing worse than that sense of regret that we could have done more, or we squandered the opportunities, or we failed to help our sons reach their redemptive potential in a world like ours. We are building a cohort of intentional fathers who are going to walk our sons through these teenage years. We are offering daily devotions for you to be able to spend time with your son. We've got Man School, we've got challenges for him, we've got patches, a backpack that comes with this so you can load all the gear in it, and we're going to be doing a launch event in New York City so we can walk through this together. The whole thing is designed to give you the tools you need to parent with confidence. I'd love to be able to walk alongside you and share everything I learned developing the Primal Path. If you want to send your son into the world with your head held high, I want to invite you to sign up. We're launching and we'd love to have you be a part of it.
So what's the Primal Path discipleship program, right? A yearly discipleship program to make men out of our boys. That's what this is designed to do, right? A curriculum focused around the main shifts every teenage boy must make and transition into healthy manhood, right? To transition into that manhood in a healthy and powerful way. So there's a few things that we're going to focus on, right? Character development, okay, that's a big one. Theological development. I know I didn't get that until I started here at Church on the Move, full-grown adult. Didn't have that theological development. I can't imagine what it would be like to have that and have somebody guiding me through that, even more so than what we get right here because we're all attending Lincoln. It's deeper than that. It's our connection with our boys through that. So we're given everything that we need through this, but instead of talking you through all the little details, I want to hear from Gary. Gary Hornstein is going to come up. He's gone through this with his son, and he's now in year 2, right, Gary? Gary's in year 2 of going through this, so I'd love for him to share just his experience and what he's seen and the impact that it's had on he and his son. Because that's part of the power of this is we think, oh, yes, we want to lead our boys into manhood, but what impact it ends up having on us through the process.
Yeah, I'm doing this for myself. I've learned so much just walking with my boys through it, and the relationship I have with them, I spend 15 minutes every morning before school with my 16-year-old and 14-year-old, and sometimes we don't do the content, we just talk. Maybe something's going on, or they're nervous about something, or I need to confront them about something. But it also helps me as a dad know I've got to do a devotional with my kid tomorrow morning, so I shouldn't be a jerk to him, or I need to apologize to him about something. So I've learned a ton just doing it as a dad. It can be a grind. Like I asked Jake, my 14-year-old today, I said, what would you tell these dads if they asked you about it? And he said, it's boring. and I said, well, what would make it fun? And he was telling me what would make it fun. Like in the first year, there's all these man school nights. And he says, we don't do the man schools anymore. And part of year 2 is less of that, but it's kind of just like a gut punch for me of going, oh, I let up a little bit on this, and I can't let up because I'm their only dad. I'm the only dad they're going to have, and this matters. And it's going to be worth it. It's the long game. And I'm in it for the full 5 years. Brady's going to miss out. But Jake, he started when he was 13, and he's going to get the full 5-year experience. But I'm committed to just going all in with the time and all in with the money because it is expensive to do stuff like there's a ton of fun stuff. Like we do escape rooms, you go bowling, you go axe throwing, you do all sorts of stuff. Go to really expensive restaurants so you teach them how to put a tie on. We're teaching them how to change the tires in the car, just doing real practical man stuff, but also a lot of spiritual stuff. So I love it. My kids don't complain about it, but they do it because they know they should. And John Tyson is just he's a fire hose of content. Like, the amount of stuff that he puts in, if you just did half of what he did, it would be an impressive amount of information. But like he was saying, I've learned to not just stick to the script and focus on the relationship with my kid more than the 5, every morning and doing all that stuff. And when you can just relax about that, it gives you some kind of just like, okay, it's going to be fine if I don't stick to the exact script, because it's just a map. It's just a guide. You be you. You know your kids better than John Tyson does. So it's worth doing and sticking it out and just knowing it's the long game, because my kids still are jerks sometimes. They still look at things they shouldn't look at and get in trouble. But the Primal Path has given me handles to go, do you remember when David and Bathsheba, that thing happened? Do you want to go down that path? Or do you remember when Moses his sister and brother were throwing shade at him? Like, do you remember how he handled that? Because you're studying Joseph and John the Baptizer and Paul, and it's pretty awesome just for me to learn that stuff, but to have handles when I can talk to my kids about it, because they sat there and listened to the exact same thing I did, so they're on the same page. So just from year 1, we're a few months into year 2, it's awesome, and I'm not perfect at doing it, but I'm still really glad I'm doing it, and I'm still going to step up my man school nights and celebrate this stuff with my kids. Like, celebrate hard. I need to celebrate hard. I need to spend more money is the problem. So time and money, just be ready for that.
It's like Lincoln. I believe all of us would agree that we would live in a tent if we had to send our kids to Lincoln, right? The impact that Lincoln has had on our boys is so great, and I believe we're going to see the same thing through this process, no matter what that looks like. I believe the outcome of it is going to be as impactful, if not more, than the sacrifice we already have and do with our boys at school here. So thanks for leading the charge, man. You've been doing this over a year.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I love it. Great job.
Yeah, my brother-in-law just texted. I didn't even know who John Tyson was either, but he's like, check this out. And I was like, oh, $500. Okay. And I did it. Well, with the, I guess it's way cheaper to do it through the church. So
it is.
I'm gonna have to switch plans. But it's still, I'd still do it again. I'm like, I'm committed. So.
Love it. Thanks, Gary. Good stuff. Give it up for Gary. Come on. Like you were saying, it's for determined dads. I mean, that's what this is all about, right? We're determined to lead and to raise our sons. So let's talk a little bit about, just kind of get in a little bit of the details. So when it says a year, we're going to follow that Mountain Men time frame, right? So kickoff is in February, and we're going to go through the end of July. But there is a year of content, right? So we're going to take, when it says 1 year, we're going to break that down and condense it. Right, but you can carry it through the entire year if you want to. But as groups, and we'll talk about how we're going to get into groups, we'll split that up a little bit and reduce the amount of content. But here's some of the things that we're going to cover in year one when we're together, right? The 5 shifts. And I believe it's important to go through a few of these details just to give you an idea of what this looks like. So the 5 shifts every boy needs in order to become a man, right, are as follows. From ease to difficulty. Boys want ease, men embrace difficulty. You guys would agree with that? From self to others, right? Boys live for themselves, men live for others. From whole to part. Boys think the whole story is about them. Men realize they are a part of something bigger. I like that one. From control to surrender. Boys think that they are captain of their fate. Men surrender. And from temporary to the eternal. Boys live for the moment. Man live for legacy and embrace eternity. So as they break down the 5 shifts, that's what, there'll be a few weeks on shift 1, a few weeks on shift 2, a few weeks on shift 3, et cetera. That's how that's going to go. And all the content is there, gang. I'm talking, there's more content than you'll know what to do with. So you don't have to come up with anything. It's right there for you to walk you through what that looks like. So a few more of the details are coming, but I would love for Derek Roberts to come up and say a few words. I've got a few photos of the trip that we took together, but Derek is, I can't wait to hear what you have to say. So Derek was a part of the group that we started this last year, not connected to Church on the Move, never been to Mountain Men before, and I don't even know what you have for the group, but I believe you're supposed to be up here saying a few words, so go for it.
Well, I think I know probably about half of you. I've got enough kids in here where I've probably paid the mortgage on this place a few months. So I've got one that graduated last year, and I've got 3 younger ones and an older one, which now I have 2 grandkids. But to start back, listen to these guys talk about their being dads and coming from somebody. My dad and mom got a divorce before I was born. So you don't know what it's like to not have a dad if you don't have a dad. You know what I mean? It's not you don't know any different until you become a dad, and then it's like, okay, this is what it was about. And I spent a lot of my time, my daughter's 18, and I was traveling with her playing softball, and she played basketball here and softball here, but I felt like my 2 boys and my younger daughter kind of got the brunt end of it. And then January of last year, I get a text, says, hey, come to this Mountain Man thing. It's a trip for boys. And I'm like, I am far from a mountain man. I mean, you put me on a mountain, I'm going to die. But I decided to go to the meeting, and it intrigued me, and my son needed it, especially Tyson, who's a 7th grader. Me and him have really not had much time together. We spent a lot of time traveling with watching other kids doing other things, and he needed it. I needed it. And so I decided to go, and this guy decided to jump in my truck with me, and we drove 12 hours, and I got to know a lot about him, and he got to know a lot about me, which was probably good, maybe. And really, when I got the text to come to this thing, I'm kind of an edgy guy. I say things when things aren't supposed to be said, make people uncomfortable, but that's just who I am. These guys are laughing, they know. But I'm just not your typical guy that your wife wants you to hang out with. But we came to this, and I've been going to church. We go to Life Church. I've been going to Life Church for about 17 years. We don't go to church here. I love this school. I love this church. But we've got a history, and we've got a good group that we take to church with us. Anyways, back to the trip. We get up there. We're doing things. We're at nighttime. We're in there telling stories, and he gets up, and we're talking about stuff, and parents and kids are speaking, and I'm like, man, this is awesome. You don't get that at your house. When I'm at my house, Tyson may be speaking, but so 3 or 4 other people might be speaking too. So he speaks up, and I'm like, well, that's cool. We get out, and we go to dinner together. We get in these buggies, which I'm not a buggy guy, and we get dirt all in our face and my nose and my underwear, and we all smell. And they keep talking about the moment when you get up on this mountain, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Not whatever, but I'm like, we're going to get to the top of a mountain. I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be hungry, whatever. But we pull up on top of this mountain, and it's just all grass. And I was like, holy moly, man, this is awesome. And so we get up there, and my son, everybody breaks up, and the boys go pray, and the dads go pray, and my son's sitting probably 100 yards away from me by himself on a rock praying. And, I'm not much of a crier, and I might have cried, but I don't know. But so, and then all of a sudden after that, the dads go over and speak with the kids, and I go over there and I listen to my son talk for about, I don't know, it was about 10, 15 minutes. And he said some of the things to me that I would have never known what he knew, what he thought. I broke down. I cried. And so I thought it was all over. And then we're over there, and Curtis walks up to me, and he says, Derek, I want to pray for you. I said, all right. Well, all these guys put their hands on me. And the first time in my life I've ever felt weak and strong at the same moment. I don't know how to explain it. I felt strong because these guys are holding me up. I felt weak because I don't have the relationship with God that I needed to. And it changed my life. And since that day, Tyson, Presley, and me, we got baptized about a month ago. And I got baptized as a kid, but it didn't mean as much to me now. So that being said, this trip will change your life with your son if you let it. There's no, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it to you, but it's worth it. It's worth the time and the money.
Let's give it up for Derek. Wow. Proud of you, man. In Derek fashion, we all said, hey, Derek, let us know when you're going to go get baptized. We'd all like to be there. Show up to a basketball game a few weeks ago, and he's like, hey, man, I got baptized last weekend. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I didn't tell any of my family. My kids were getting baptized, and I just decided he knew it was time for him. He planned it all in his head, but he just surprised his whole family. So love you, Derek. Proud of you for going on the trip, man. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's impactful. Kickoff in February, man. That's what that looks like. Daily devotionals. Okay, you heard you don't have to follow every single day. Don't put the pressure on yourself. Like I got to do this 7 days a week. Like I don't know if I'm gonna. I travel a fair amount. I'm gonna miss some days. It's okay. We're going through it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna make it. There's a curriculum that starts in year 1, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Those are all the men that are in the group of boys in 7th through 10th grade. We're all gonna start at the same place. All right, then the next year, we're going to go to the curriculum for the next year. Then we're going to go to the third year and the fourth year. All right, so that's how that works. There's a different curriculum that we'll follow each year, and we'll keep it through the Mountain Men season. So daily devotionals, weekly men's school challenge. So Gary mentioned a little bit of this. You're going to have some fun, small quests, different things you're going to do with your boys. Again, do you have to do every single one of them? Or are you going to have a leader calling you and saying, "Did you get this done with your son?" It's not like that, right? It's there for you. It's there for your growth with your son. It's all laid out for you. But that's what that looks like. And then the monthly group meeting, right? So each grade. This is how this is. The vision of this is each grade you're going to have a group of 6 dads and 6 boys. If there's 12, there's probably 12 dads in 7th grade right here. We'll have 2 groups of 6 dads, 6 boys. Okay, so that's your group. You're going to do your daily devotionals. You're going to do your weekly men's school with your son. Then you're going to get together with your group once a month. This was awesome, guys. We got a chance to grill burgers. We hung out together. The boys played together. They had something they were going to do, and then us dads got a chance to talk about what was going on in our life. All right, man to man, things that you probably wouldn't share with your son necessarily, but you get to share it with arm in arm with a man standing shoulder to shoulder with you. I love that piece because we go through life together. Those of you that have been a part of Mountain Men, you know what that's like. If you haven't, it's powerful, especially when we're doing life together here at school. Now you get to do it with a group of men who you become close with, and that's something special. So that's what that looks like on a monthly group meeting. You meet once a month, and you go through, talk about what you've learned, and get together. And then you have a trip to Colorado. Is it always going to be a trip to Colorado? Maybe not. Maybe we'll decide to go somewhere else. Can Mountain Men handle the number of men that go in about the same time frame as the Mountain Men groups? I don't know. I hope not. That'd be pretty cool. As if we blew it up so much that we didn't have room to take everybody whitewater rafting. They just couldn't handle a load. I bet they can handle a lot of people, though. And that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Here are a few photos. We all got together in the house. Right? We just did a little verbo. There was, 14, 15 of us on this trip. Had some epic ping pong table games. You want to talk about somebody who's an animal at ping pong? Is Derek Roberts right over there. Boy, that man can play. The boys didn't go to bed one night. We asked them like 5 different times, like, "Hey guys, first night, everybody's all excited, Hey, it's time to shut it down. Time to go to bed. Hey guys, it's time." The 5th time that happened, Curtis and I were in a room together. I was like, "Hey, they're getting up and going running. Like, I'm over this." Right? And so we did. That picture that you see on the top right, we got them up at 6:30 in the morning, made them all run 4 miles. I don't think any of them ran 4 miles in their life before. Right? We're in altitude. They're walking. They all made it. It was a good memory. Daniel went. Daniel went. Yes. A lot of dirt in the eyes, but guys, the whitewater rafting was epic. The side-by-sides, it's just what we had decided to do. We connected with the Mountain Men team with whitewater rafting, and we did the side-by-sides. Again, will we climb mountains one year? Probably so. I bet we'll go conquer a 14er with our sons one year. So it's a trip to do together with our boys, with the groups that we're doing life with. That's what that looks like. In and around that end of July timeframe, just to give you an idea of what that is. And then the summit day, we get to the top of this, and it was special. On top of any mountain, spending time with God, being intentional, which is really, that's what this is. Right? We're being intentional with our boys day in and day out, and going to make memories in the process. So while Gary said the feedback from his boys, it's kind of boring, Dad. There's parts of it that probably are going to be a little bit boring. But if we'll stay consistent, the memories and the connection that we'll have with our boys, they'll last a lifetime. I believe that. I believe it'll all be worth it. So before we get into a few of the items for the Q&A, last but not least, I want to bring up Curtis Huntsinger. So Curtis, another one who's not from Church on the Move. He's not from Mountain Men. Never been on, really denied, I believe, a few requests to go on mountain men in years past, right?
Yeah. Like Derek, I was like, no, I'm not climbing mountains. And I'll before I tell a little bit, I will say whatever that man school thing is, like Andy and his family, like we've already lost. They were like a NASCAR pit crew out there.
They were incredible.
Changing flat tires in the middle of nowhere. Like their trailer broke. I wouldn't even know the trailer was broke. Dad fixes it, and like it's just crazy. These guys are like they were like a NASCAR pit crew. So I'm like, okay, well, man challenge. They've already won that, whatever that is. But now, so I'm Curtis Hunsaker. I know about half of you in the room too, just because my kids go to school here. I got 3 kids here. I got a sophomore, 7th grader, and my daughter's in 4th grade. Been at school here for a long time too. Know a lot of you through the sports and different things. So I go to Guts Church. Been involved out there for 30 years, and was kind of like Derek was invited to go to this with a group of guys that I already know. And I'll be honest with you, when I first got the invite, I was like, dang it, I was looking for a way out. I really was. I was like, how do I say no to this? Because I was just like, I don't want to do this. Not because I knew it wouldn't be, like I knew it'd be fun. I knew it would be an exciting trip. I knew all that stuff. But my first thought and mentality was, this is going to be such a chore. We're going to have to go meet once a month. You got kids, you got a wife, you got work, you got school, you got all the stuff we have. Summertime. I was like, man, I got to figure out a way out of this. Said yes to it though, and there's kind of been a theme from a couple of the guys that spoke already as far as, and Brett called me yesterday about this, and what I would tell you guys is that might be one of your first reactions too when you start getting into the curriculum or you start figuring out what the requirements are going to be. But don't let the devil talk you out of it. Don't let the enemy talk you out of it, because it's going to be worth it. The time, the energy, the investment that you spend with your sons is going to be worth it. No matter what the cost is, like you were saying, no matter what the actual cost is, no matter what the figurative cost is, it's worth it. I mean, that trip that we had, not only did I get to spend time with my middle son, Eli, that kind of like Derek, hadn't spent a lot of one-on-one time with him, but got to spend that one-on-one time with him. And I've known these guys through sports and different things, but not at the level I feel like we really got to connect while we're out there and, we're driving, like they said, driving 12 hours to Colorado. There's a lot of small talk in the car and different things. And you're just, that's the secret sauce, I think, to this is, yes, you're building a relationship with your kid and you're having a great experience with your kid and you're discipling your kid, which is incredibly valuable, clearly. But the secret sauce here, which you guys have, is you're also building yourselves, and you're also going to be people in your group that find themselves in God and find all the things that they maybe really didn't realize, like, oh man, like Derek was saying, he realized there were some things in his life that he needed to get closer to God with. So that's kind of that secret sauce to this. But I would just tell you, don't let the enemy talk you out of it, number one. Right? Is it uncomfortable? Absolutely. Is it inconvenient? Absolutely. Is it difficult? Absolutely. But I've found in my life, and you guys can probably know this in your lives, those are the things that are usually worth doing. When it's uncomfortable, when it's inconvenient, when it's difficult, that's usually God, right? If it's all comfortable and it's all easy and everyone else is doing it, it's probably not God very often, right? So just don't let the enemy talk you out of it. Figure out whatever you got to do to make it happen, and then make it happen and commit to it, because it'll not only change your life, and this is going to be more in depth than what we even did, it sounds like, so I'm excited about it, but it's not only going to change your life, but it's going to build something incredible with you and your kids. That was something that I really took away with Andy and his dad and his kids, was the relationship that those guys had was incredible. And I looked at that and I thought, wow, I got to build that with my kids. And so you're going to experience things with the other dads. You're going to experience things with your kids. And I'm rambling for a second, but basically the thing I just want to say is, don't let the enemy talk you out of it. Don't look at it and sign up and then be like, nah, I can't do this. Stick with it. Stay committed to it. Let it change your life. Let it change your kids' lives.
Thanks, Curtis. That's right. Man. Yeah, right on. Let me go through a few Q&A, and then we'll have time if anybody has any questions, and we'll make sure we get you out on time. So one question is, what if I have more than one son in 7th through 10th grade? Well, like Gary, you're doubling up, right? Now you meet with your boys at the same time?
No.
Separate.
Separate. Sometimes, if we're running short, I'll double up and have both of them do it, but I feel like they're more honest. There's a lot of Q&A, and if I can get them one-on-one, that's just better.
Love that. So you're one-on-one with your boys in the morning, 15 or so minutes, 10, 15 minutes with them each. Yeah. Love it. That's awesome. So you can do that. you don't have to choose just one son. Does it have to start in 7th grade? Ideally, the program is 5 years, right, of content. So that's how we had to start somewhere. So when we said at Lincoln, like, hey, let's start at 7th through 10th grade, does that mean that somebody from 11th grade that has a son in 11th grade can't do this? No, it doesn't at all. Does it mean that if you don't go to, which some don't go to church here, they're Lincoln guys here, it's just a place to start. Can we do it in another church? Yeah, of course you can. Like it's an open program, right? He's doing them all over the world. John Tyson is. So we just needed a place to start. So we started from 7th to 10th. So the cost of this, so online, if you were to just go and look online, the yearly program's $9.95. Okay, with all the content, the backpack, the patches, the connections, the quarterly like meetings with John Tyson, Church on the Move made a sizable investment in this to get it started, and it brought the overall cost down to $199. So it's $199 a year is what the investment looks like in the Primal Path, right? So you'll probably be calling them up and just saying, hey, I'm gonna switch over my subscription to $199. So that's what that looks like, all right? So break that down any way we want to break it down between now and February, $50 a month. Yes, sir. I got to take off. Can you email me the 100%. We're recording this. Isaac's doing a recording for us, so we're gonna send out the recording, and we'll make sure we get the email of all the information. Thanks for being here, Lowell. Yes, sir. So this is exclusive for Lincoln boys only. Again, it's a place for us to start. The kind of that magic is having a group that we can stick with, right? That's 6 in that grade, and then a 6 in the 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. Like having that core group that we do life with. So that's where we're starting. What happens after year 1, year 2? All right, so the curriculum changes. There's different things. There's different things you're going to discuss. There's different content you're going to go through. Same thing year 3, year 4, year 5. Trust me, they're going to cover the entire basis of how to take our boys from boyhood to manhood. It will, no doubt. Questions? What do you all have that you want to talk about? Wondering, maybe we haven't covered it.
So it's a once a month thing? Is that just meeting and talking, or is it an activity?
You can build an activity around it. You certainly can. So that you'll determine that with your group of 6. So like Mountain Men, there's co-leaders. So that's the formula is to follow the Mountain Men season, but also co-leaders. So out of the 6, there'll be the 2 that'll communicate and then choose where are we going to meet. Derek, we met at his house. We cooked out on his grill. The boys swam in the pool. There were days where they played basketball and just shot around while us guys spoke. So you can come up with an event if you want to. Maybe you save one of your boy challenges. Maybe you do that together as a group, or maybe you do a couple of them, as a group together. So you have some flexibility there for sure. Good question. Who else? We covered it all.
Is that $199? It includes the backpack and patches?
Don't hold me to it, but Natalie did respond back, and because I'd asked a question about the backpack, and she's like, "Hey, here's the discount, with the backpack." So
yeah, it's worth it just for the backpack. If you don't even do the curriculum for a rebate.
The backpack's pretty sweet, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool. I did, instead of a backpack, I bought like a Foot Locker, a Yeti Go box, and they sent me the artwork, and I made stickers instead of patches that they put that on. So
creativity coming out of Gary Hornstein. He has a lot of it, definitely. Who else? Anybody else have any questions? Guys, I see this and with this group. I mean, there's 140-ish dads from 7th through 10th grade. I know there's a lot of 8th grade dads right now with boys playing basketball right now that couldn't make it. I had multiple dads saying, "Hey, I'm interested. I'm out of town, so that's why we're recording this." So if you have questions, we're here to help answer the questions. I'd love to see the excitement grow to where we're reaching out and being like, "Hey, we need to come do this together." Because that's how things begin, right? That's how reaching out to Derek and saying, hey, Derek, why don't you come do this? Us men intentionally reaching out to other men saying, hey, I reached out to one dad at least 5 times for this meeting, and I'm not letting him up until we at least have a conversation about it. That's how much I know this will impact his life and his son's life. I believe it. I've walked through just a portion of it, so I maybe press a little bit harder, but it's worth it. I don't want people to miss out on just at least the details. Right? Let's get the details out to the men that we're doing life with. Alfredo.
Conflict with mountain men. I guess you just go on 2 trips that year. That's the only thing that would be a conflict.
That's correct. Yes. And Leah and I spoke about it. Like, hey, there's some men here that that have led, and I've led on plenty of mountain men trips, and you can either do 2 trips. If you're going to not do a mountain men trip and you've led before, I would just ask you to replace yourself as a leader. Find a leader who's going to take your spot. That's what I did when I said, hey, I'm not going to lead this year on a traditional mountain men trip. We're going to do a father-son trip. I just replaced myself with another leader. Instead of having Lee and Brian go find another leader, I replaced myself with another leader. That's what I would ask for you guys to do. Yes, sir. Mark.
Is there a deadline that we're going to have a cutoff for, I'm sure the interest will kind of grow after tonight a little bit it's right now it's for Lincoln dads for 7th through 10th. I think the interest will grow a little bit after tonight. Are we going to have a cutoff time of like, hey, you need to sign up by this time?
We will. I see that happening more in January. As we meet on the mountain, once we determine what the mountain men kickoff meeting is going to look like, then we'll say, hey, here's what that looks like on a cutoff of January, maybe mid to late January, just so we can have a head count. We can start putting together the teams. Like mountain men, it takes time, takes organization to try and figure out, okay, how many do we have in each grade? Do we have leaders for each group? We need a few weeks to figure those logistics out. Then we'll all come to the mountain men kickoff meeting, and then we'll sit in our groups like we do. If you've been on a mountain trip, you sit in tables like this, and we're with our group. And then at that point, we can have the boys come and everybody get together. And so how do we communicate this to our boys? Right, that's one question. Gary, what did you say to your son before you got started with him?
Yeah, I kept, build anticipation with them is important. And telling them it's going to be hard, but it's going to be awesome, but not telling them too much. Trying to build anticipation was the main thing, and that's encouraged. There's a whole 6-week prep thing for just the dads with this. If anybody's read The Intentional Father, which is John Tyson's original Primal Path thing I did, and it was just I can't do this. Is overwhelming. Try to create all this content and dig deep into my own soul and all that. But prepping it now, if you don't have a great relationship with your son now, I probably wouldn't dive into this that soon. Start working on that now, and invest in your kid now, but try to build anticipation for this at the same time, because there's a whole initiation, a kind of a kickoff thing where they had to earn their go box. For me, I made them jump in the pool in the middle of winter. And
cool thing about this, guys, is the boys like to be around boys. They like to be around other boys in their grade. That's where this thing's going to really grow, because boys want to be around other boys. That's how we sold it to ours when we did our father-son trip. Like, hey, guys, we're going to get together with some of your friends, and we're going to do this, this, and this. And that was part of the pitch for me as a dad to my son. So that's what I would be a part of that if I were you, and I'm saying, hey, son, we got this awesome program we're going to start next year. It's going to kick off in February. We're going to do some daily devotionals. There's going to be some things that we're going to do, together consistently. I'm going to be right there with you step by step. And hey, we get to do it with some of your friends, some guys from, Lincoln. We're going to get together once a month. We're going to do some fun, cool stuff. We're going to end up with a trip. It's going to be awesome. That's how I would position it with my son, and build it to where, hey, what boy doesn't want to hang out with some of their friends and go have some fun and do cool stuff? If you pitch it like, if you sell it down the road, like, this is going to be really hard, son, and we're going to spend a lot of time just reading the Bible together, and we're going to take like at least 15. You're going to have to get up at 5 a.m. every single day of your life. You wouldn't do that, but you know what I mean, right? We want to communicate it in another way, and I believe you won't have any problem getting your boy on board. We didn't. It was a piece of cake, wasn't it? Yeah. Good questions, guys. Anything else?
Is that book recommended?
You can go through The Intentional Father if you want to, 100%. You can jump online. You can watch some of his videos. There's a 6-week video series, not long. We'll kick that out to you guys. We'll get that out to anybody who says, hey, let's go do this together. It's just spiritually building us up as men to prepare us for being there with our boys. Some may say, well, I don't see my boy. Maybe you have a marriage that you don't have full custody of your son. No problem. Do it when you are with your boy. Like, no big deal. We want to hear of anything that's holding someone back. Let's talk through it. We're 5 minutes early. Anybody have anything else? I appreciate you guys coming. I'm going to pray us out here in just a second, but you guys making this first step and this first move, hopefully we've given you the information that you want to not walk away like, what was this thing about again? Hopefully you have a good understanding of what it's about, and thanks for the guys who have shared this together. So let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for the men that are in this room. Thank you for leading us and guiding us. We understand the importance of raising your son, and we're just stewarding what you gave to us. And help us make those decisions to have the courage and the confidence and the consistency to raise our boys as you would see us raise men like you, right? That can go out and that can go and grow the kingdom. Thank you for that, Father. Give us all that confidence that we need, and in you to take the next step, and to do that with joy, and to do it with peace, and to do it with a ton of grace, because the impact that it's going to have is going to be more than we can ever imagine and wrap our arms around. So thank you for the men who are in this room. Bless them. Bless the conversations they're going to have with the boys. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Thank you, man. Appreciate you being here.